Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. Today's battle showcases the Greenskins led by Ease as they take on the Vampire Counts led by Dustyping. The Greenskins are led by Grimgor Ironhide coming in with Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, and Wah, alongside a Night Goblin Shaman with Sneaky Stabbin' and Itchy Nuisance, and 2 Goblin Big Bosses on Wolfback. The army consists of the 8 Peak Loonies, 5 units of Black Orcs, and 2 Giants. These guys are all either unbreakable, immune to psychology, or have extremely high leadership. This build is an excellent way to counter an army that might use fear and terror, allowing the Greenskins to stay surprisingly steadfast in their resolve and will to fight. The Vampire Counts are led by the Red Duke in the air with Swarm of Flies, the Curse of Undeath, the Hunger, Invocation of Nehek, Raise Dead, Wind of Death, Foe Seeker, Red Fury, and El Sif. The rest of the army consists of 2 units of Skeleton Spearmen to deal with any large Greenskin units, especially ones that might be anti-large themselves, with 5 units of Graveguard forming the bulk of the army. The Blood Knights are a great anti-large addition, and they can really help take care of infantry after large units are taken care of, and the Dire Pack are good for chasing down fast armored units that might be harassing your lines, such as Mangy Marauders, etc. Then we've got the 2 units of Crypt Horrors bringing in poison and armor piercing, with the Mortis Engine providing support, great anti-infantry capabilities, regeneration to nearby troops, as well as damage to nearby enemy troops. The Vampire Counts really look like they were expecting a savage orc build from the Greenskins. They're about to be very disappointed. Alright, as always, we're going to start with a conversation about deployment, and it is extremely simple from both sides of the field here. First things first, the Greenskins, they do have the 8 Peak Loonies up front. Again, they are unbreakable. They're able to get their loons off nice and early and absorb some early charges. Right behind them, we have the line of Black Orcs, all of them immune to psychology with relatively high leadership as well, so again, they will not be frightened and terrified off the field. Right behind them in 2 pockets here, we do have the Giants. Again, these guys have extremely high leadership, at 113 right now because of all the support nearby, of course. And then we do have, of course, the Night Goblin Shaman, Grimgor Ironhide himself, as well as the 2 Goblin Big Bosses, able to, again, dive in, provide support wherever necessary. In the case of anything coming in from the rear or, any flanking maneuvers, etc., these guys are a little bit... well, they're in a bit of a tough situation. The Black Orcs are the only ones who will be able to respond, so it is a bit of a risky build, because if your opponent decides to go cavalry heavy or flyer heavy, you will have some trouble, because though they might be immune to psychology, these Black Orcs, they will still respond to being flanked and hit from the rear. Now, over here, we do have, of course, the Vampire Count army, and they have a relatively simple layout as well. Front line consisting of these Graveguard. Right behind them, we do have these Crypt Horrors, again, with their poison and armor piercing capabilities. They can dive in and provide support wherever necessary. Alternatively, of course, they can come around the sides and push in from the rears, wherever it might be. We do have these Spearmen, the Skeleton Spearmen on either side, just a step back and the flanks here. Again, able to defend against any incoming enemy large units, able to fend them off, push them back, and make sure that the rear lines of the Vampire Counts are safe. And then back here we do have the Mortis Engine, again providing that support in a radius, providing regeneration as well as damage to enemy units. And then all the way back here we do have the Red Duke up in the air, the Blood Knights as well as the Dire Pack. And these guys can sort of move together to take care of enemy units with relative ease. They don't have to worry too much, and that pun was not intentional, but they are able to sort of move around and screen, once again, screen the back of the Greenskin lines. Now, with all that said and out of the way, let's take a look at how this breaks down. So, right off the bat, everyone is pushing forward, and you will notice that a little bit of adjustment going on because the Greenskins do want to face the enemy head-on. The 8 Peak Loonies do get spotted, and the Vampire Counts as well, just pulling back just a little bit. The Vampire Counts are most likely hoping for a head-on engagement. They want to form a straight line because, you guessed it, the Red Duke has Wind of Death. Rather, I mentioned that in the introduction as well. So the Red Duke's got Wind of Death, so that straight line engagement is going to be extremely valuable, of course, for the Vampire Counts. Meanwhile, over here you'll see the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack being sent around this side, seeing that the enemy does not have any cavalry, not having seen any Night Goblin Archers or anything. These guys feel relatively secure. They can get some decent rear charges in. Now the Graveguard push forward as well, hoping to bait that engagement, and you can see the Red Duke comes over here, sees this juicy straight line, willing to start up a Wind of Death, but Ease notices that almost right away, and he does pull his units back. So great movement there, making sure that A, there isn't a straight line engagement, and B, that Wind of Death isn't able to actually get any damage done. Now, oftentimes, people will wait for the Wind of Death icon to show up on the field before pulling back. However, that can be just a little bit too late, because waiting until that happens, if the Vampire Count General is planning accordingly, then when you're retreating, you will get charged from the rear and not be able to clear out of the Wind of Death's straight line. So it's better to just pull away a little bit earlier when you can sort of see it coming. And you'll see now all these charges do go through. Ease does order these charges in, and right now the straight line is still not going to form. And even back here, you'll see as these Crypt Horrors dive through and get a decent amount of damage into the Black Orcs, relatively speaking. This engagement is not happening in a straight enough line for the Wind of Death to cause an immense amount of damage through the Greenskins. Over here as well, these Black Orcs now charging down and trying to dive into the Graveguard over here. So again, we've got one engagement about to happen over here, one back here, another one over here, and this one over here as well. And finally, this unit of Black Orcs as well, diving in, about to engage somewhere over here. So you'll see a straight Wind of Death is still possible roughly around this line, but it just won't be as valuable as it could have been, would have been earlier. And you'll notice as these engagements begin, almost right away, the Black Orcs are causing a tremendous amount of damage. These Graveguard are not armor-piercing. They are armored, but the Black Orcs are all, of course, armor-piercing and heavily armored. So they're having a great time just hacking away at these Graveguard. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see Itchy Nuisance does go down, so whatever melee attack capabilities that the Graveguard had is completely nullified, and then any of those, 10% of hits that do get through at most are, well, they're relatively worthless because the weapon damage already not armor piercing and even further reduced by 22%. So great cast there, and you'll see back here the Mortis Engine just a little bit too far back. Should have been sent in because it's just out of range of any of its support capabilities. So as you can see, the Mortis Engine should have been pushed in just a little bit more, and really it could have also been sent in to provide some actual support. It is armor piercing, it is anti-infantry, so against these Black Orcs especially, should have been pushed right in. And you'll see over here the Giant actually goes toe-to-toe with these Skeleton Spearmen for a little bit, just kind of marches right through, does not give a damn about them. And over here the Crypt Horrors as well, very quickly being taken care of, because again, the Black Orcs are a very, very formidable unit. The Red Duke up in the air here, also struck by Itchy Nuisance, so not really willing to engage right now because it is reduced in its capabilities. But over here you'll see the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack able to come around from the rear and do a decent amount of damage to the Black Orcs here. They are going to get a sweet charge in, the Graveguard holding them in place. And again, these guys might be immune to psychology, but they are most certainly not immune to rear charges, side charges, etc. So the Vampire Counts really have to rely on that. And meanwhile, as that's going down on that left flank, Invocation of Nehek trying to keep these guys alive as this unit of zombies is brought back up from the dead to try and get another little piece of support. Now, I would have actually advised that this unit of zombies were raised from the dead over here just so that a full surround could have been made on these Black Orcs. Again, they are immune to psychology, but they're not immune to being flanked. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see the Red Duke realizes he really does need to get engaged. Back here, meanwhile, the Giant is beating on the Mortis Engine. Not a bad idea at all. You want to shut that down before it starts doing too much damage. That's probably the highest threat unit that the Greenskins have easy access to on the other side of the field. So good call there, diving in there, and you'll see the Red Duke here decides to dive in, hit some of these Black Orcs, and also gets this unit of zombies up. So great use of Raised Dead there. That's exactly what I mean should have happened over here, just to get a full surround. And you'll see a couple of shadows already going down now, and the Blood Knights over here pulling back very quickly. Great movement there again. These Black Orcs, let's slow it down for a second here. These Black Orcs were charged in from the sides and the rear. They took a lot of damage to morale. They took a lot of physical damage as well, and they're already routing, and they were only up against Graveguard. So that's really what the Vampire Counts have to do now. They have to rely on those rear charges. So continuously pushing in, pulling out, diving back in, pulling out, diving back in, pulling out, diving back in, and just making sure that one at a time everybody gets taken care of. And you'll see that's exactly what they're trying to pursue here. They pull away from this as the Black Orcs are retreating, and now they're being sent in. I don't know if that was enough distance for them to get a good enough charge in, so that's a little unfortunate. They should have been pulled back a little bit further before being sent in, and maybe, the Dire Pack could have been sent in here while the Blood Knights were sent in this way, causing sort of damage to both of these units. Very minor edits to the maneuvering here, but overall great thinking. That's really what the Vampire Counts have to do. Over here you'll see Grimgor Ironhide now chasing after the Mortis Engine that has taken a lot of damage, and finally the Mortis Engine is able to get close enough to start causing some of that trickle damage and the health bonus that it provides, the regeneration bonus that it provides to allies. Grimgor, as I said, giving chase while the Giant back there is preoccupied with the Skeleton Spearman, just trying to march his way through. These zombies do come up to try and hold Grimgor and the Giant in place. Grimgor engages the zombies there, but the Giant walks through like it's nothing. He does not give a damn. He wants to beat on this Mortis Engine, so he gives chase and dives right in. Meanwhile, you'll see this other Giant over here beating on these Graveguard like they're nothing, and they really are to him. He just keeps beating down, causes them to start crumbling. They're taking a lot of damage. The skeleton spearmen here as well, already crumbling. Meanwhile, back here, you'll notice this unit of Graveguard just chasing away those black orcs. Now, that's not the worst idea in most cases, but right now, numbers really are the name of the game for the vampire counts, which is hilarious considering they're up against the Greenskins. These guys should have been pulled in as well against these black orcs. Again, a rear charge, doesn't matter what unit is doing it, a rear charge can cause a lot of morale damage. The dire pack, you'll see, is very quickly being taken care of in prolonged combat now, and the Mortis Engine, again, just too far back to actually do anything. Its effects are not influencing its allies or the enemies, so not being used properly there. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see we do have another Itchy Nuisance going down, completely nullifying the value of all of these zombies, the Skeleton Spearmen as well as the Blood Knights as they run away now. Invocation of the Heck, trying to keep these guys alive as best as possible, and the Giant here as well, giving chase, not wanting to let these guys live. Mortis Engine finally dives in, gets some damage into the Black Orcs alongside the Red Duke there. These guys are being thrown about, and you'll see over here, this unit of Black Orcs is taking some damage from the Mortis Engine. Unfortunately, the Mortis Engine does get surrounded, taking a lot of beating, taking a hefty beating from all those Black Orcs. The Red Duke not able to protect it, and over here you'll see the Giant having a great time as the Mortis Engine does fall apart. Grimgor Ironhide, meanwhile, just having a field day, had a good time there. Now running over to this side, trying to join some Black Orc buddies here and provide some support. Meanwhile, the Black Orcs obviously hit by Sneaky Stabbing, able to get a lot of work done. We also have Wall going down as well as Stand Your Ground, so no worries there. Giant as well, just getting these Skeleton Spearmen to just crumble and fall apart, hitting on these Graveguard as well, or rather hitting them, not hitting on them, doesn't want to take them to dinner. And this Giant over here now pulling over here, these Black Orcs just barely able to hold the line. They are falling apart. There's a lot of damage coming in, but the Giant now comes in, swinging his club, doing a lot of damage to these Skeleton Spearmen, hurting these zombies, making sure that these guys are very quick to fall apart. Invocation of the Heck does go up to just try and keep these guys alive, but Grimgor Ironhide dives in there as well. He wants to get in on the action. The Giant doing a lot of work, as you can see. The Red Duke dives in to try and provide some support to these Vampire Count troops. The Black Orcs do fall. The Giant being toppled over as well, but ultimately the Vampire Counts are in a very rough situation, a very dire situation over here, and you'll see we do have another Itchy Nuisance, going down here as these Black Orcs are returning into the fray. So once again, the Vampire Counts already weakened against most of these Greenskin units, and now even further reducing their capabilities. Over here, the Giant continues to beat on these guys as the Night Goblin Shaman, stuck in melee, is able to hold his own somewhat, while the Black Orcs doing a lot of work against a very useless unit of zombies. The Giant should have been left here, and these Black Orcs really could have been pulled to this side alongside this unit of Black Orcs. Alternatively, these guys could have been pulled around and come in from the rear to ultimately crumble and disintegrate these Graveguard units over here. Now, that happens. Nonetheless, everybody starts to fall apart and disintegrate as the Red Duke dies as well. This unit of zombies decides to stick around for some reason. They're completely unbreakable. Don't know what's going on there, but they're not going to win the day for the Vampire Counts. Just a couple of quick swift blows from the Black Orcs, and there you have it, a Pyrrhic victory for the Greenskins. Now, the Greenskin composition that Ease brought is very effective against armies that rely heavily on psychological attacks on morale. The Vampire Counts also put all of their eggs in one basket, bringing little in the form of armor piercing, ensuring that their units were outperformed at almost all points. Some well-used Raise Dead casts allowed some damage to enemy morale, and there was some great thinking with those rear charges with the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack. More of that could have really made a huge difference, damaging enemy morale and allowing the Vampire Counts to win, but unfortunately, ultimately, the Vampire Counts were neither able to break the enemy nor kill them. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. I think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always great to see some amazing battles from the community showcasing different tactics, different compositions with different armies. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.